to prepare for the worst.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Back a Lot Banter. I'm your boy Abram, joined this time by the one, the only, the Sith Lord Andrew Roscoe, because we're back for an episode of my Star Wars show, and it's a special episode for a number of reasons. First of all, I'm coming at you live from the planet of Mustafar, so if you see me covered head to toe in sweat, that's why. It's not because I live on a campus with awful circulation where it's like 90 degrees. And we're also here on the special occasion of post-Star Wars Celebration Mania to answer one simple question that we've, I believe, answered at a different point in time in this series. How do we feel about the future of Star Wars? And Andrew, a little bit of a spoiler alert. I think it looks very bright. Before we get into that, to go point by point through everything that was announced, I want to let you know that you can talk to us about Star Wars in the Discord server. Link as usual, top of the description. If you go in there, we got a channel dedicated to Star Wars, and with the Mandalorian premiere on the precipice, you want to be in there to talk about it with us. But also like the channel, ring the bell, leave a comment. Did I say like the channel, like the video? You know what? I believe in the intelligence of our audience. They know what I meant. But what I know that they don't know is that 85% of you are not subscribed. You come and you watch the videos and you move on. Hit subscribe. It won't kill you. It won't. If anything, make your life better. This is the channel you're looking for.
There you go. There you have it.
But Andrew, let's get into it. And I've broken the announcements down into movies and TV shows because finally, Andrew, we have some films to talk about. And I actually want to save those for the end because I think they're a little bit more exciting. So I want to start with the shows.
Sure.
A bunch of info about shows, and I think we're going to kind of go in like escalating order of importance. So I want to say least important for the sake of our conversation, but one of the things I'm actually most excited about is we got a trailer for Star Wars Visions Season 2. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason that I'm having this first, so for us to just sort of hit on our way to the bigger stuff, is because I didn't watch it. I don't want to know. I don't want to see it. I just want to be totally surprised on May 4th. And I've seen a couple little stills on Twitter, and they look fantastic. But I'm just so hyped, and we're so close that, like, don't need a trailer. But you watched it, Andrew. What did you think?
I thought it was. I liked how I was worried when they first announced this, like because I'm a big anime guy, right?
Right.
And I was hoping like if they do another Visions, like it's just gonna be anime, like hopefully. And then they announced like Aardman and all these other non-Japanese studios, and I'm like, I don't like Aardman animation. I don't like stop motion.
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of that. But I saw like the little tease of like the Aardman's episode. I'm like, okay, this looks really funny. Like I'm into the comedy. Like, okay, I'm gonna definitely watch this anyways.
Yeah.
But there are a couple studios either they are anime studios or they're emulating the anime style of like the art style where like it looks very like Japanese and like very anime like. And I'm like, okay, cool. We're gonna get something, or at least I'm gonna get something that's gonna scratch that itch for me.
Right.
So it looks like a good mix of animation. I saw there's a couple. A lot of people they're doing the thing again where there's like a lot of Jedi and a lot of Sith interpretations, and I'm like, okay, I guess you can't get I guess like if you get a chance to do Star Wars, of course you're gonna want to do like the most not maybe most outlandish, but you're not gonna squander it on something like overly simple, right? You want to do the big the holy grail of Star Wars, which is like the Force users, right? So, yeah, I only saw the trailer once, so I can't remember much outside of like the Aardman one, just because that one it's the only stop motion one that I saw that just stands out so much compared to the more traditional animation stuff. So, I mean, it's like what, a month or less than a month away. So
yeah, May 4th. So we're in the corner.
Okay. Yeah, about 2 to 3 weeks from now. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna watch it, obviously. So yeah.
The other sort of anthological series we got an announcement for Season 2 of Tales of the Jedi. Now, we didn't do an episode for Tales of the Jedi. I actually reviewed it. Where the hell did I review it for? Digital Trends or something? It's like right when I was finishing up freelancing stuff.
Okay.
I thought Tales of the Jedi was good. I didn't think it was anything especially remarkable. I wish we spent a little bit more time on things that didn't feel so fan servicey. Like spending more time with Anakin and Ahsoka was cool, but what was awesome about the Tales of the Jedi is when we saw things like Yaddle and we got more into Dooku and Windu and characters. So I don't know if we know anything about Tales of the Jedi Season 2.
We don't know who's following yet.
Yeah. But so I'm excited because I thought Tales of Jedi was good, but it didn't blow me away. So I'm not like hyped for more of it, but I'll certainly watch it.
Yeah, I haven't, yeah, we don't know who it's going to follow. I imagine it's probably not going to be Duke and Ahsoka again. I'm hoping, I feel like we've kind of like run that well dry. I think there's going
Yeah.
to be, I'm hoping for maybe Ahmed Best's character, maybe a little bit of that. That would be kind of
Yeah.
cool. Or I'm trying to think of some lesser known Jedi that we probably don't know much about. Like, I feel like Kit Fisto might have some potential, but maybe we've got enough from that from Clone Wars and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
not knowing who it's supposed to focus on, I would like if, because it's just called Tales of the Jedi, maybe go into like before the Clone Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Like let's cover some other eras of Jedi, maybe High Republic or Old Republic. I'm thinking it probably because those aren't as popular, they probably won't do that.
Right.
But it would be, I would want something that's not just Clone Wars 2.5 or whatever.
I mean, like in an ideal world, Tales of the Jedi would go back to like High Republic or something, but I don't know. I don't know how likely that is. With Dave Filoni at the helm, I feel like he's going to want to stay more in sort of his playground to Clone Wars. But
Well, I watched a little bit of like the interview, like when he announced, like that he's like, oh, like we had so much fun doing Tales of the Jedi season 1. He's like, we want to do more of that. But he did say that he was going to be stepping back a little bit and
okay,
letting some of the younger. He said, like he mentions in the interview how George Lucas kind of like brought him up, and he's like he says he wants to do the same for some of the younger writers on the team. So
nice.
he's gonna be more like in a executive managerial role. He said that most of the stuff is going to be written by younger writers and not really him.
He's too busy putting together his Mandoverse,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about in a little bit. But goddamn light, it always changes. There we go. Stay. There we go. Okay.
You're just radiant. You're just like,
We also got an announcement that the Bad Batch is getting a season 3, its final season.
mhm.
Now, Bad Batch is the only Star Wars thing, unless you're gonna like fucking tell me I haven't seen Ewoks, because I haven't. It's the only Star Wars thing of consequence I've never seen. I feel like I should. I feel like once season 3 is out, I'll probably just cruise through all of it. We'll talk about an animated show you're cruising through very shortly, but yeah, I'm sure someone's excited for the Bad Batch season 3. You've seen both seasons, right?
I've only seen the first complete season and like two or three episodes of the second season, just because the same thing. I was like, I'm gonna wait for this to be done, and I think it just wrapped up like 2 weeks ago or something. So,
Yeah.
but I'm in the middle of because of all the announcements and stuff. Like I'm finally watching Rebels. I just started the third season, and I'm like it's hitting that stride, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, like now I get like everyone's praise for this show, because I'm like, okay, I get it now. This is real. This is really good Star Wars.
Yeah, let's just talk about it now for a minute, because I know you're getting into Rebels heavy, and it's been fun watching in the Discord sort of share your thoughts as they become more positive as the show goes along. Because I think that's entirely right. You watch like the first 10 episodes of Rebels, and you're like, oh, this is just a kids show.
Yeah,
For me, the first turning point is when you have that first more like spiritual episodes, like episode 10 or whatever, where you like go into the tree. You know what I'm talking about?
the tree.
It's something I can't remember the exact specifics, but there's a moment.
Are you talking about the
That,
cave, like the mountain thing?
yes, sorry, not the tree.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I misspoke. That episode is like the
Mhm.
first is when it starts to ratchet up a little bit, but when you get to season 2, I think it picks up more speed. But then when you hit season 3, I think season 3 is the best. 4 is also very, very good. They're very close in quality. I prefer 3 a little bit, but you're into the really good stuff now.
Yeah, I just saw like like when Kanan's introduced like the Bendu and everything, and like this a different kind of force wielder that's not Jedi or Sith, but just somewhere in the middle, kind of
Yeah.
just like a shaman, sort of like a spiritual shaman in the force. And I'm like, this is really cool. Like you know, I'm a huge fan of the force stuff, which we're gonna talk about very soon when we get to the movie stuff. But like, I'm just like, okay, like I like a lot of this stuff. I like the season finales for 1 and 2 are both like really cool, like the Maul stuff and the Inquisitors and Vader and Ahsoka, and it's like, oh, like it's like really hype moments. I'm loving
Yeah.
everything about it, and like I'm starting now to kind of understand why people like Zeb, why people like Sabine, why people, like Chopper. Oh, I love Chopper. Such a troll,
Yes.
such a little gremlin of a droid. Like I'm starting to understand why people have such high reverence for these characters, whereas before, especially between the relationship that Kanan and Ezra have, where they kind of mirror Anakin and Ahsoka, where it's kind of like, you're trying to steer your young apprentice, but he just fights you kind of along the way, has moments of like, I'm sorry, and like, and it messes up again later on, right? Does like stuff back and forth, and like they have such a cool like relationship and bond, and like I'm all for it. So I can't wait to finish
Good.
the show.
We also learned a little bit more about the Skeleton Crew.
Mm-hmm.
I continue to just be sort of intrigued by Skeleton Crew. I wouldn't say I'm especially excited yet, but I'm sure once we get an actual trailer, I'll be a little bit more invested there.
Yeah, I other than I think it's being kind of like spun as like a kind of Lost in Space kind of take on Star Wars, where there's a bunch
Yeah.
of like kids accompanied with like I guess Jude Law, and that the premise seems to be like they're that something happens to them, that they're in kind of in dire straits, kind of like a Goonies, almost like Star Wars take. And I'm just like, oh, okay, all right. Like, it's probably the least excited I'm the least excited for this like live action piece of content that I'm just kind of mm, like it's just not very high for me. But I'm sure that my attitude will change as more stuff is shown.
Yeah.
I imagine, but it's kind of just like that thing that's kind of just like in the background that I'm not really particularly paying too much attention to.
We also, of course, saw a little bit more out of Andor season 2. Now there was footage shown behind closed doors. I didn't even bother trying to go find like a cam rip of it. I just would rather wait for the official trailer to come out. But everybody watching knows how both of us feel about Andor. So more Andor.
Yes,
Let's fucking go.
Very excited for more Andor. There was a couple of screenshots. Like it looks like,
yeah,
from people who did see stuff behind doors, they talked about how like there's like a part of a scene of where Mon Mothma is rallying, like out in the open, just rallying people to like the rebellion, to the rebel cause, and I'm just like, okay, cool. We're gonna see her go like full, like that's it. Like I'm out here, I'm doing this thing. I'm not gonna even pretend to do like be part of the Senate and stuff. Like she's gonna be out there in full I rebel like kind of mode, right? And I'm very excited to see that transition because I imagine because we know she's so entrenched with the money and her family, like what is gonna be the breaking point or what's gonna
yeah.
be the thing that's gonna just where she's just like stops like one leg in one world, one leg in the other, just fully commit.
Yeah, the other thing that we learned is that every 3 episode arc, after every 3 episode arc, there'll be a time jump. So unlike Andor, which is more concerned with just like these couple weeks in Cassian's life, for the most part, it's on a smaller time scale. This show is going to be really jumping forward, which I think will be quite compelling to see.
Yeah, well, it works. It kind of works out for us because we tend to do like the little trilogy episode, like little breakdowns anyway. So, yeah, it seems like that's a good fit for just considering how they did the heist and the prison break and leaving I forgot the name of the planet, but from the first 3 episodes where they just put them out, right? Little self-contained stories. So that makes sense. It sounds like it'll work out.
The Acolyte.
Mm.
Again, no trailer for the Acolyte or whatever, but what about this do you want to shout out at the moment?
Well, I think I did see blurry footage. Like people did put like blurry footage. They have I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy from Squid Games.
Okay.
Like he's like a Jedi master or whatever, and like you see a little bit of that. Like he has like the robe. He's like training younglings in the temple, similar to like how like we see Yoda doing that in episode 2 with the little younglings kind of guiding them. I forgot the character. I don't remember her name, but it's a female. There's a female, I think, Jedi, and she's fighting someone in a robe. It's what's unique about it is it's very kung fu. It's very hand to hand fist style.
Nice.
So there's like kind of like she does like the force push, but she also does it's like it kind of has like elements of like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kind of stuff, where it's like martial arts augmented by the force kind of stuff. And like they're kind of fighting like I don't know if it's like a bazaar or like a marketplace or something. So that kind of looked cool. But those were the only 2 like pieces of footage that I saw. I'm interested because they said one of the characters is an existing character in the High Republic books and comics. So they're gonna one of the main characters is going to be an existing character. So I'm like, oh, like I better start like delving back into that because I kind of forgot. I started reading Light of the Jedi, which is what the novel that we both have, and I kind of. I think halfway through the book, I just got distracted. So I'm like, oh, I have to jump back in. Like, oh, there's so many different characters. I don't know if I can remember who's who and stuff. So like, but it sounds interesting. I'm sorry, you're going.
Well, I was gonna say there is so much High Republic material. I mean, there are so many fucking novels, and there are so
There
many
is. I
yeah,
was surprised. I was like, how many novels? I'm like, oh shoot, there's like multiple like trilogies.
yeah.
I'm like, oh man, that's dense.
So I just don't think Light of the Jedi is a very good book. I mean, I've tried multiple times to get into it, and I just can't.
It has too many characters. It's really hard to follow.
But I think that the High Republic comics are very good. I have read a couple of as of as of when Christmas last year, I was totally caught up on it. Um,
Wow.
and then
Okay.
fell off. So I want to catch back up on the comics. I think the High Republic's comics are very good. The novels, there's too many novels, and B, I just don't trust that the quality will have improved that much that I think that's too big of a project for me. But the comics, I definitely want to keep an eye on.
Are you familiar with the character then? I can't remember her name. It's a lot of syllables.
Let's
It's like
see.
Trow or Mal. It's
Got it
like
right here.
a little green girl. I think she's green. I can't remember the name. I can't.
Revealed by Acolyte showrunner Leslie Headland at Star Wars Celebration Europe Day, Rebecca Henderson will appear in the TV show's High Republic novel character, Vernesta Rao.
There you go. For Ness, I couldn't remember the name. Are you familiar with that character or not really then from the comics?
Well, I'm gonna look them up.
Oh, okay. I remember it was Carrie Ann Moss, the one who was using the. She's the one doing like the martial arts fight, like in the little footage thing.
I'm familiar with this. I'm familiar with this character on their face. Says that they were in a High Republic issue 6, so I guess I must have
Yeah, she's
encountered
like a
them.
little like green teenage Jedi or something. I seen like pictures, like I looked it up. I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, okay, that's like interesting. That's a cool design, I guess. She kind of looks like Gamora
Oh,
from Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah.
Well, that's what she reminds me of, at least. But
There's also so many splintering paths of those comics too. There's so many consecutive runs that maybe I'm not actually as caught up in those comics as I thought I was. I'll check it out. But the ones I have read are very good. So comics get my cosign, the novels, whatever. But it's threw my phone away. That's why I have all the recap. But the Acolyte, I'm excited about it. They did pitch it as uh Kill Bill meets
with
Frozen.
Frozen, yeah.
I have no fucking idea of what that could possibly mean.
I
But
saw some comments online. People were saying like the reason why they say that is because I guess Vernestra might have like a sibling who's also a Jedi, but that she has like different powers than she does or something, or a sibling or a friend or someone who's close to her who has like they're a little more kind of like caution to the wind kind of character. So maybe some kind of opposing. That's what I've read online. People talk about that, like that she has like a relationship with another like Padawan who's like kind of closer to the dark side or something like that. Maybe so that
yeah,
might be the Frozen connection, and then Kill Bill, I could see that from the footage I saw where it is like martial arts with the force and stuff, like kind of more like that going to like the wushu kind of style of rather than just like straight up, lightsaber
yeah.
fights and stuff. So
Yeah, Wuxia style Star Wars fights would be fucking awesome. So let's hope. Let's hope. And I'm starting to feel like the last time I was caught up on High Republic was the Christmas before last Christmas, which would
oh,
put me really far
so more
behind.
than a year. Okay.
Yeah, that makes more sense. That makes more sense. I knew when I said that was wrong. So I got a lot of catching up to do regardless. But
I think they're about to do like what, like phase 3 of the High Republic or something, like in November or something.
maybe it's
Like
that I finished phase 1.
that might be it.
The point is, I'll get to it.
Okay.
But now we're gonna get to the thing on the show side that I'm so excited for, Andrew. Is the Mandoverse in maybe a little bit of trouble? Maybe say what you want. Mandalorian season 3, Book of Boba Fett, whatever. But you know what's going to bring it back, Andrew? Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Star Wars Rebels season 5. Ahsoka.
Is that basically what it is? It's just Rebel season 5.
It appears that way.
Just live action.
Because yeah, because we got Thrawn here with the entire Rebels crew. Between I think now between uh have we seen all of the members of the team between Mando and Ahsoka in the Ahsoka trailer?
Yeah, I think Ezra shows up in like a little hologram form.
Yes, yeah.
So, and then, yeah, that's pretty much everybody. I mean, I already know what happens to one of the characters.
Oh, I wasn't gonna say anything in case you didn't.
Yeah, well,
So
because you
yeah,
asked, and I'm like thinking like, oh yeah, that's right. That happened already. So,
yeah, that's a sad episode. When you get there, that is a sad episode.
oh
Um,
boy.
but
It kind of sucks too, because like I really like the character, and like I just knowing what's going to happen. It's kind of like one of those like Dumbledore kind of things, you know. Which now I'm
yes.
spoiling Harry Potter. Never mind. But you, you know,
Oh, people know that Dumbledore's dead. um, but yeah, I think Ahsoka's trailer looks terrific. What do you think about it?
I liked it a lot. I like there were so many like what felt like nods to. I don't know if you've ever read the original Thrawn trilogy at all, but like I mean, just this the title drop of Heir to the
She
Empire.
says it.
She just says it, right? I like like you know that moment kind of thing. Whenever a movie mentions the title in the movie, you're like, there it is, right? But also there's like some elements that kind of just remind me of like well, we see that one dude that's played by Ray Stevenson, who's like the I think in the trailer says Balin, like so subtitles, that's character's name, I think, but he's like the very grisly looking like Jedi guy or Force user with the very oddly colored orange filled in lightsaber. I'm like,
Yeah.
this reminds me a lot. He looks a lot like the character from Heir to the Empire named Joris Cabaeth. But it's not the same character. It's a different name. But it's he's one of the villains in that novel where he's like an older, grisly character who happens to be a clone of a dead Jedi. And I feel like we're kind of with all the clone stuff and with Snoke and all that stuff. I'm like, are we just gonna just meld the concept of like having clone Jedi? Because I think of like Obi-Wan, you know how in Kenobi, I know I'm getting all over the place right now, but if you remember in Kenobi when he sees like the tomb of all like the Jedis are basically just like in these little tubes or pods or whatever, like who have like just been killed or whatever. I'm like, it seems like are we going back down that road of like are we going to integrate cloning back into as a major thing in Star Wars again? And I have no idea. Like he has like it looks like there's another woman with him, who's like a blonde woman with like platinum blonde hair who also has a lightsaber. We see Sabine, we see Hera, played by real life Ewan McGregor's wife, Elizabeth.
Oh,
I forget her full name, Elizabeth Winstead, right? Is that name or no? I forget her name. But she's Ramona from Scott Pilgrim. That's how I always remember. Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I think it's her full name, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And so we see obviously Chopper in Rogue One, and we're pretty much seeing everybody. Like, so yeah, you're right. I guess it's another season of Rebels, but we see some cool stuff. Ahsoka's like fighting like these like I don't know if they're like droids with like they kind of remind me of like the Magna Guards from
yeah.
Revenge of the Sith. And she does this cool thing, like very like she puts a lightsaber, spins in a circle, falls down through the floor. I'm trying to remember what else we see. Oh shoot. Obviously we see Thrawn from behind. I don't remember what else. I know there's more stuff. I just can't remember. But we see what's her name from Mandalorian season 1, the one that Mando takes the Beskar staff from, that one lady who like
Yeah.
she says that Thrawn is her master, right? So we see her. I thought she died in the show. I thought she died in Mando, but maybe Ahsoka spared her. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think she does spare.
Okay. I thought for some reason she died. I don't think we see in the show what happens to her, but she's in this trailer, so presumably she's survived that. And yeah, it looks really cool. Like it's what August, I think, August of this year.
Yes. Yeah.
Not that far off. I mean, it feels kind of far off, but I mean, time kind of flies by. So
Yeah, no, you've summarized pretty nicely why I'm excited for it. So these characters that I love making their way into live action from the Rebels crew. Pulling Thrawn in. I like how clean everything looks aesthetically. I think it looks quite nice.
do you know like where she's meeting in the trailer when she's meeting Sabine? Kind of like it looks like a higher like platform. Like I'm like, is that supposed to be Lothal or like a?
Well, I can't remember exactly what that shot is, but yes, we definitely see Lothal in the trailer. We definitely do. Which is again, it's just more Rebels, but that's fine. And it'll be the last piece of the Mandoverse before. Well, that'll probably be another couple seasons before the Mandoverse movie comes out. But the last major piece, I think, for lead up to this event movie, which I guess we should talk about now because we're through the TV shows. Yeah, Dave Filoni is making a movie, and it is going to it's going to tie all of his stuff together between Mando and Boba Fett and now Ahsoka. Of the three films we're going to talk about today, Andrew, it's definitely the one I'm least excited about. But
You say least or most?
Least excited about.
Okay.
And I think it could be an interesting exercise to see how he ties all this together and presents it as a crossover event in the cinema that we couldn't have just gotten as like a major episode of one of these shows. Um, but if they're giving him the green light for a movie, there's got to be a good reason why this is not just like a two-part Mando arc or something.
Yeah,
What do you
it's
think
kind
about this one?
I think this one's a very weird one just because like up until this point, every Star Wars movie, you basically just had to watch the movies to like kind of be caught up.
Yeah,
This one require this is like an MCU level film where like it's going to require some. You're gonna have to do your homework for this one. You have to
yeah,
watch Book of Boba Fett. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to watch The Mandalorian, probably all three seasons, I imagine. Plus, I don't know, I don't know if there's gonna get another season of Mando between now and then. They mentioned
yeah,
it. Probably not, I'm thinking, but and then of course the Ahsoka series. So it's gonna require the most commitment of all the films, I think, from its audience. So like again, like I'm thinking back to that episode we did where I talk about like hot takes, right? And you mentioned how like if there was never another Star Wars movie and it was just all Disney Plus, like you would be okay with that. And
yeah,
I was kind of thinking of that when I heard the announcement. I'm like, I wonder what Abrams thinking about this because I remember like you said like they don't need to make movies anymore. They can just do these D plus series, and I'm like, this one's is the weirdest choice of all. I think the other two are pretty standalone. Like you can,
yeah.
I mean, at least for you can watch all the other major, all the numbered entries in the series, and like you're good, you're good.
Right.
But this one is very odd that it's going to be a film, and I'm like, I'm trying to imagine. Like, I'm already like thinking ahead. Like, how are people who like how are critics or how are our general audiences going to be like who the hell is Chopper or like like who the hell like they might be more familiar with Mando because Mandalorian is like just hot. It's just hot. Like everyone knows
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal's like in the prime of his career right now. So people are going to be like invested with that. But I'm thinking of just like some of the ancillary stuff like Fennec Shand and like are people going to I don't know. Like, are people going to react well to that, or how is that going to do, like performance wise in terms of like numbers, like box office, and like I don't know. It's a very weird choice, but at the same time, it's kind of cool because fans have been demanding Filoni to be given more, more of the reins, more of the kind of be more of a face forward public figure in terms of like developing the lore of Star Wars. So
Yeah.
people love Filoni. He's by far the most beloved public facing persona over at Lucasfilm. So I think it's a smart choice. I just don't know what's that going to look like for people like who are like they see people who just like your mom and your pop who are like there's a new Star Wars, let's go watch the new Star Wars, and like they have homework to do. So
Yeah, I think you're right about all of that on like a business level. On a creative level, I just have a hard time seeing what Dave Filoni could do that would justify this format.
yeah,
Because this is all long form storytelling, and now you're condensing all of it down. I mean, what we're seeing a lot of in the contemporary era is the inverse. Let's make the Batman, and then let's make this Penguin show and expand the film outwards. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So going the other way, I think it's going to be an interesting challenge,
kind of like
especially
bottlenecking, right? So you're saying,
yeah,
okay,
especially to your point of like, yeah, who's the protagonist of that? You know?
yeah,
I guess we'll find out, but it feels to me like what I would have preferred is them saying, "Hey, we're giving Dave Filoni a 2 hour long Disney Plus special, like a big
yeah,
event movie like that, and then it fractures out again for various TV shows." But I might be entirely wrong. It might translate really well. They might actually let him go on to an actual set instead of the volume, and it could be really cool. We'll see.
Do you think
Um,
it's just that like this project, whatever this thing is, warrants a far bigger budget? Could it be?
Could be budgetary, yeah, but then it makes me wonder to your point of like, what's the sort of reasonable box office expectation for something like that? Do you just hope that you've built up enough interest and fandom over the shows that the first Star Wars movie being back, I would presume is going to be this one. It's going to be all these characters people have been watching on TV, but maybe that invites the problem Pixar's having right now. If everyone's used to watching these characters on streaming, that they don't want to go to the theater. And that's what happened to Pixar. You put Soul on there, you put Luca on there, and then suddenly no one wants to go see Lightyear. So we'll see. I think that film is going to be the hardest for them to sell people on. But Okay, Andrew, we're back from Zoom's little arbitrary time to cut your video break, and I double checked. So I think I am caught up on High Republic through the end of phase one.
Which was what, December or?
No, it was October 2021. Or this is what the news story is from. It seems like
Oh,
the end of phase one was in January 2022. So I'm a year behind. What is that, 14 months behind?
more or less, yeah. I don't like the use of phase. Like I feel like Marvel kind of
Yeah.
spearheaded that, and now like other like media properties are trying to do phases, and I'm like, I understand it's easier to kind of like for organization reasons, it makes sense to put things out like that way, so what is important for which era or which part. But like, I don't know. I feel like we could do a better, we could find a better word than phase for that.
Yeah. And it also seems like this character, as I was saying before, that is going to be in the Acolyte, was in these comics that I've read. So maybe I just have to start over from the beginning again. I don't know.
Really, you're just overwhelmed with so many you just don't remember.
I think I was probably actually overwhelmed. First of all, clearly my mind's not working right if I thought I was reading these comics 4 months ago. So I think this might be a me problem. So I was actually reading them 14 months ago. But I digress, Andrew. We're gonna now talk about the two, what I would say are the two big uns.
The big,
But a
yeah.
quick intercession just for a moment because they also announced they're bringing Return of the Jedi back to theaters at the end of this month.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. New poster. Yeah.
my fingers are crossed as tightly as I can possibly cross them that there'll be a showing near me. I can't imagine that this will be such a limited release that I can't get to a theater for it. But when they brought Rogue One back at the end of what, towards the end of last year before Andor started, there was no showing anywhere close to me. But that was also
Yeah.
such a hyper limited event that I'm hoping that
Yeah.
this is a bigger deal.
Like the nearest one was like in LA, and I'm like, I live like an hour away from LA, and I'm like, I'm good. I can wait. I'm like, I don't need to see it.
Yeah,
Man.
I would. I mean, Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars film, so I'd be over the moon to see it in theaters.
It's just the
So
same movie, right? They're not adding anything different, right?
no, I just for the theatrical experience.
Yeah, for the sound and
Yeah.
display and everything. Yeah.
But we'll see. In the meantime, let's talk about James Mangold, uh, who is making a film about the origins of the Force.
This is the one I'm the most excited for, honestly.
Okay, the biblical epic, he's calling it.
Ben-Hur meets Ten Commandments. I never seen Ben-Hur. I know it's like a
It's a great
Oscar
movie.
winning. I know. I seen Ten Commandments. I saw that when I was in middle school, so that one I'm much more familiar with. Um, it just sounds really cool. The origin of the Force.
Yeah,
I think they are calling it Dawn of the Jedi, which, funny enough, was a book that I mentioned to you a week leading up to Celebration. So
yeah,
it's funny how that title just kind of came back. I imagine they're not gonna. It's not an adaptation of this book because I can tell you this book. They've already established the Force and the Jedi and stuff, so it can't be this. It can't be that. I think it's just one of those kind of I don't know if you remember. I also showed you like an old EU novel called The Last Jedi, which has
yeah,
nothing to do with the movie The Last Jedi. So I think they're just kind of dawn, rise, these buzzwords for titles that kind of just get reused and recycled because they sound cool, right? The something awakens or rises, and cool sounding titles. But I think of the Ten Commandments, and I'm someone who I am religious. I'm a Jehovah's Witness, and like the Ten Commandments. I mean, that's just. Have you seen The Prince of Egypt? Have you seen that movie? There's this story of Moses and freeing his people from Pharaoh, basically establishing what becomes the Jewish identity, right?
yeah.
For the Jews. So I'm curious, like what that sounds like a massive task to kind of establish what will go forward as being the canon official start of like the Force and the Jedi. It's like I do not envy him with trying to come up with a concept of like how do
Yeah.
you even do that? Like how something, and it is, I think they said it's going to be at least 25,000 years before A New Hope and stuff, which is the setting for this book is about 25,000 years before all that stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited. We've talked about in past episodes that the Force is one of the coolest things about Star Wars for me. I love the again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but just the different interpretations with like the Night Sisters, the Sith, the Jedi,
Yeah.
the Bendu. Now that I've kind of starting to learn about that in Rebels, like what the Force is to so many different species and what it's supposed to be. Like, is it a living, active kind of like Qui-Gon refers it to the living force, like it's like an actual entity that shapes things. Other people, other Jedi kind of think it's like a passive thing, like it's just like the code of the universe that you tap into, right? So like I'm so excited to see how they do that stuff. I love going back to like explaining why things are. I think that's why I love history so much in real life. It's like real life lore, basically. So I'm very excited about this. I'm not really familiar with his work. I'm sure you, as a film buff, you probably know way more about.
Logan is the movie from him you'd know.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Is that his main thing that he's known for?
Let me double check his filmography, but I'm pretty sure that's he's
Logan's
also
a fantastic film, so that's already a good sign. That's already a good sign.
and of course he's doing Indiana Jones right now.
Oh, that's right.
He
Okay.
also did the Wolverine, 310 to Yuma.
Oh, 310 of Yuma is a great western. Okay.
Yeah. He also did recently, which is another very good movie, Ford v Ferrari, if you saw that.
I did see that one. That was a cool one. I saw it in theaters, actually. I remember that.
Yeah,
So okay, so
yeah.
he has a good pedigree. It sounds like he has he's coming from a good background. Then in that case,
Yeah, James Mangold's like a not to disparage a lot of people that work on this franchise stuff, but he's like a real artistic director who
oh,
does who like he's worked in franchise stuff before, but that's not necessarily where he came from. And I think that's important for something like Star Wars. And I talk about this a lot. The quote that I can never find the attribution for, but like George Lucas was influenced by David Lean and Kurosawa and all these people.
mm-hmm.
J.J. Abrams was influenced by George Lucas, and Dave Filoni is influenced by George Lucas. So much of Star Wars has become very insular.
Sure.
And part of the reason I love Andor is it didn't feel that way. Same with Visions and everything. So getting a guy like James Mangold who's going to come in and bring these different touchstones, this different skill set, and this long Hollywood career to the origins of the Force sounds fantastic to me. I think he could really shake things up and provide something truly different. And he's just going to have to invent so much new Star Wars iconography. I'm very excited to just see what the movie even looks like. And clearly he's becoming a Disney favorite because he's doing Dial of Destiny right now for Indiana Jones.
That's pretty interesting because
Yeah.
like, I mean, if I was Lucasfilm, or like I'm seeing some people say the same thing, where like, would you probably not want to wait to see how well Indiana Jones does, or are they just,
Yeah.
or have they seen enough stuff where like this is the guy?
Well, I mean, they're debuting at the Cannes Film Festival, so clearly they're very confident that it's an incredibly good movie.
Okay.
I'm still on the fence personally about Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. I think it looks good, but I don't know.
Are you big? Are you a big indie head?
I love the first three movies. I've never seen Crystal Skull. Not that I think that would help. I don't think that would help my love if I had seen it, but I like those movies a lot. But I'm certainly not a fanatic for Indiana Jones, so we'll see about that. But his past work is so strong that I think he's a great choice. But the film I'm most excited about, Andrew.
Fair enough. Go ahead.
We're bringing her back. We're bringing back one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars. Your Mary Sue, Ray Palpatine Skywalker is returning.
Is it like hyphenated? Like, is it like you think Ray Palpatine Skywalker?
I think it's sort of like I think it's like Diamond Damian Russell or Holly Adonis Hollywood Creed or
Oh, so it's like
something.
in quotes. It's in quotes.
Yeah, that's what I think it is.
In the Hispanic community, like, it's very common for us to have like two last names anyway. So I'm like, okay, like if they do that, I'm like, okay, Ray's officially Latino. I'm like, all right.
The premise alone excites me.
Yeah, this is what I wanted from the original. I'm not the original, but from the sequel trilogy to begin with.
Yeah, basically what I know about the film is that Rey is back and Rey is rebuilding the Jedi Order. Now, again, subjectively, I just think Rey is an excellent character. I think that John Williams absolutely went sicko mode composing her theme. I love it.
When she slides down the Dune Hill and like music play. I love that track. It's not my favorite, but it's a really, really good theme.
Yes, I love it too. So I'm on a subjective level very excited there, but it's also just great that finally Lucasfilm is saying, look, we need to progress the narrative. because for as great as things like Andor are, even though it's probably my favorite thing in all of Star Wars, it's nonetheless still situated in this time that we know so well. So what's really cool? Uh-oh, did we freeze again?
No,
Oh, there we
sorry.
go. No, I think it froze on my end for a second.
Oh, okay.
But uh Andor, Andor is in the middle. We're
Literally,
now with
literally
yeah,
the story,
yeah.
timeline wise.
With these two new films, we're pushing the outer edges of Star Wars in both directions. But even James Mangold's film, going back to me, isn't necessarily as exciting as pushing forward. So
Oh, okay.
just in a sense of like he is going so far into the past that there really won't be any touchstones, but we will still nonetheless know what eventually his narrative reaches. You know what I mean? With this new film, we're pushing ahead to where there's no Star Wars media in front of it. Like this is the new tip of the spear for where the universe
Uncharted.
goes.
It's
Yeah,
to quote Maz Kanata, the yearning you seek for, Abram, is not behind you; it's ahead of you.
exactly. Um, so yes, I am stoked for this film.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do.
Yeah,
Just because having seen all the stuff with Star Wars in the past, like I hope they address the issue of like does the galaxy really need the Jedi Order? Like, do we really need? Because every time we have Jedi, something bad happens, and the whole
right.
galaxy suffers for it. Like, I want them. I want, of course, I want to see a new Jedi Order. I want to see new Jedi characters. I want to see new Force characters. I want to see new lightsaber configurations. I want to
Yeah,
see like pushing ahead, like what are we doing in terms of like the final frontier for Star Wars, like moving forward, right? Like, everything you said, but I'm wondering what that's going to look like in the sense of like what's the conflict going to be? Like we got rid of the Sith Eternal, like are we just going to tread the same kind of story beat for beat with like one of the apprentices goes bad, or like what I mean? Like I'm curious
yeah,
what they can do, and I noticeably absent, of course, is John Boyega, because he's kind of had a falling out with Star Wars.
yeah.
Are they going to? I don't know. Did Finn die off screen in those 15 years? Like, what I mean? Like, what are they going to do character wise? Like, who's still going to be around? Are we still going to have Chewie? Chewie's like a long lived, Wookiees are long lived species. Like, I'm trying to just, like my head, like brain starts running
Yeah.
off. Like, what could we possibly see, like lore wise, character wise? Um, Again, also, I don't even. Do you know how to pronounce the director's name for this one? Because I don't
No,
even.
but I want to try to do it justice. So
From
you
what I
keep talking.
understand, she
Hold on.
doesn't have an extensive filmography either, right?
No,
Which is
she did.
interesting.
She did some. She did the good episodes of Miss Marvel.
The good episode. That's okay.
Directed by Charmin Obaid Chinoy is how I'd probably say it.
Okay. I would butcher that completely. Yeah.
I'd like to see their filmography.
I think someone mentioned that she did like documentaries or some kind of nature stuff or something along those lines, right?
Yeah, let's take a look. Works. Terror's Children, Reinventing the Taliban, Frontline World,
Okay.
Women of the Holy Kingdom, Pakistan's Double Game, Highway of Tears. Yeah, I believe this is more well, it's all quite political, and I believe most of this is documentarian work. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think that means in terms of for this? They're not officially calling it episode 10, right? There's no title for this at all whatsoever.
Yeah, let me just let me correct that again. That was all nonfiction. She has a significant catalog of nonfiction work, and then
Okay.
she's done a little bit of stuff with this series called Three Bahadur. I'm probably mispronouncing that, so apologies. But it's a Pakistani computer generated action film. She did a couple of those,
Okay.
and then Miss Marvel. So yeah, she
So it's a theme
brings
of like Middle Eastern
yeah.
sort of 'cause I think you mentioned a couple like women related titles right there. So
Yeah, there's a lot. It seems like a lot of work on politics and social issues.
okay.
And again, what really excites me about that is she'll be bringing a sort of background and skill set that is not what like J.J. Abrams brought, for
Right.
instance, or even Ryan Johnson, who I think made the most subversive of the Star Wars films, was still not this person, right? In terms of experiences and what he brought to that table. So when he made
Did you,
Looper.
did you see the yeah? Did you see the hard drive article? The hard drive like satire. J.J. Abrams. He retcons his spelling of his name with a Y instead of an I.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually said that, by the way, because I think that this film faces a lot of meta issues beyond the Star Wars universe, like beyond the fiction of Star Wars universe. John Boyega is a really interesting question. I think the solution, I think you could get Oscar Isaac because you got him to do Moon Knight.
Okay. Yeah.
What I really think they need to do is they need to take John Boyega and Oscar Isaac out to like a Michelin star restaurant, pay for all of their food and drink, have basically like a procession of people from like Bob Iger to Kathleen Kennedy to J.J. Abrams come and like bow and apologize to them, and then offer both guys like an 8-figure contract and get them back. Because I think
promise him that he won't be shrunk down on foreign posters too. You gotta promise him that.
Yes. I mean, they were treated so badly by Star Wars, especially John Boyega. I think that Oscar Isaac was just kind of looking around and being like, I'm too talented to be here. I think that's how he ended up feeling. And he was obviously very frustrated, openly so, by the Finn and Poe relationship not going anywhere. But
apologize to what was her name? Kelly Marie Tran as well.
Yes, yeah. They just weren't treated that well, and they deserve something more. But I also think that the fans, quote unquote, deserved those characters to come back too. I think I'll put it a better way, because I think fan entitlement's a large challenge to Star Wars. It would be a disservice to the narrative beginnings that we got for all these characters if they just sort of disappeared in the time between Episode 9 and whatever this new film is.
I hope they do. I have hope that they will do that, because I mean, just look at the turnaround they did with Ahmed Best, where like now he's like a beloved. Now he's like everyone's like yes, like please put him in more stuff, right? So I'm hoping there's some kind of redemption. A lot of people don't like that term, but like some kind of as they mentioned in the start of Force Awakens, like this will begin to set things right.
Yeah, and I mean Kelly Marie Tran deserves the same, and she deserves probably more. She deserves like all three of her meals for the day at that Michelin star restaurant, and even more apologies.
I'm picturing like the three wise men coming, like offering like myrrh and like incense and oils. Like
what they need to do is get like 20 of these fucking stupid anti-SJW Star Wars YouTubers together to like carry a throne that she rides on down like the Hollywood Boulevard or something, to just like humiliate them for being so awful to her. But like, I think you got to bring the band back together, because if the movie is just Rey, I think that'd be peculiar. But I'm also excited just by the premise of doing some Jedi Academy stuff. Like, I think one of the great things that the EU did that the films never really touched on, and the games do more. I mean, Jedi Academy is, in my opinion, not a great game, but it's really cool. So I would love to see that sort of stuff. And I would suspect that rebuilding the Jedi Order would probably mean setting up a Jedi Academy and actually seeing it in like Luke's Academy, which we only see in like Ruin in flashbacks. So I think there's a lot of hurdles for this film to clear, but I also think that if they do it right, it could be absolutely terrific. But do you think that they call it Episode 10?
I was waiting for you to finish to ask you that same question. I think so. I think yeah, just because I'm thinking how I mean, I think Rogue One did well. Han Solo, Solo, we know, kind of lost money. I think Luke, just for marketing purposes, I feel like they probably would, number it, just because I think the majority of the public would see like Episode 10 and be like, oh, like this is the one you have to watch like in theaters. I think from a marketing, it makes sense to number it 10. But they haven't straight out said like it's part of a trilogy. I mean, I could just as easily see this as just being like a one-off, like, just part of the expanding of the franchise in different directions, of it just being I mean, they're not going to call the Jedi Dawn of the Jedi like episode -1 or 0 or something like that, right? So I have to imagine for in this case that they probably will number it 10. I don't know. We won't know for like another 2 or 3 years, but I'm guessing it probably will be 10 just
Yeah.
because I can't begin to imagine what would the title be otherwise. What would be the subtitle for it otherwise? Star Wars Jedi, or I don't know.
So just looking at it, I mean, Rogue One made over 1 billion, but Force Unleashed, Force Awakens,
Imagine Force Unleashed. Oh no. Oh no.
Force Awakens made 2 billion, obviously, 1.3 for
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi, and then a little over 1 billion, 1.07 billion for Rise of Skywalker. Like, you got to continue it, I think. I don't think that there's any reason to say that this is not episode 10.
Yeah.
It would be like if they made, well, this is an interesting example. Like if they had made that Obi-Wan movie. Well, okay, that's not a good example. Let's put it this way.
Okay.
If they had, there's no good example. Never mind. You got to make it episode 10. You have to make it episode 10.
Imagine how cool that's gonna look with the big X.
Yeah.
Right? Like how cool is that gonna look with just a big old X? Like X is like the X's and Z's and zeros are like the cool, like numerical, whatever you want to call them. Those are like the cool looking things, right? So I think X, like Star Wars 10, and just like a big old X emblazoned in the background. It's gonna look cool. So.
There was also some reporting, although not confirmed, but substantiated reporting that Kylo Ren will be back, that they'll retcon his death somehow.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Again,
I do want more Kylo. I do want way more Kylo, but just I don't know. I mean,
well, yeah,
I feel like we're gonna start having the issue where like no one is, even the line from where Luke says no one is ever really gone. And I'm like, oh, like at this point, the only people who are truly gone are Luke's aunt and uncle, who are really the only ones who stay dead, pretty much. So I don't know.
what I would really like is if Kylo comes back as a Force ghost.
Yes,
but more in the vein of old Ben Kenobi than sort of like Han in episode 9. In that,
like sporadically.
yeah, and that he's not really there to serve a scene, but there to sort of act as a conscience or guide for Rey. Because one of the ideas in episode 8 that I love so much is this idea of let the past die, kill if you have to, and that moment after the great Praetorian Guard fight scene, which, by the way, I now know that the Praetorian Guards are in Mando episode whatever.
Yes.
Can't fucking wait. I mean, honestly, I really, that Jack Black episode, I just know that I'm not gonna like it, and I just don't even want to watch it. I have to.
Fun. It's fun.
Yeah, you think so? I had my
aside from Jack Black, like the whole episode is a very Blade Runner iRobot premise.
Okay.
I think that might kind of win you over, maybe.
I got a call from my dad, and we catch up over the weekend about the past week. And he asked me if I'd caught up on Mando, and he was like, because my dad. This is really interesting. My dad knew when Mandalorian season 3 was releasing and was there for the beginning of it, but he didn't know that the Mario movie even existed until an Amazon box with Mario branding arrived at his house. So like
it works. So
yeah.
So the branding works. Okay.
But he's like he's interesting in that way of finding the Mandalorian, but like not being super conscious of like larger pop culture stuff sometimes.
He's just focused on what he likes, it sounds like then.
Yeah. But he was like, I'm not about this 6th episode. But then he told me that the 7th is fucking awesome. So I'm very excited.
It's a really cool one. It's a cool one.
But what was I saying? Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren is like this amazing figure in the new trilogy for, as you're saying, grappling with this idea of should there even be a Jedi Order? And I don't think that Rey on her own has the ability to grapple with that question. Because she ultimately reinforces, partially because of how J.J. Abrams rewrote her character for episode 9, like partially reinforces the tradition and bloodline of the Jedi and everything. So I really hope that Kylo, even if it's just a Force ghost, and I think that's the best way to go, I hope he's there to like spar with her on a level of dialogue the way they did when they like meeting through the Force dyad.
Yeah.
and forcing her to actually wonder, like, should I do this? Does this thing need to come back?
Someone to challenge her and kind of play
Yeah,
off of. Yeah.
I think that'd be great.
That would be
But
cool. I would like that. I would be very happy if he just came back in that sense where he's just
yeah,
kind of like just be like you said, like the Obi-Wan, the consoling person who's like, I've been here, I've been that. There's a reason why I wiped out the Jedi or
yeah,
something. Like that would be interesting. I think we could probably get a little bit more lore in terms of like a lot of his like decisions that he made prior to like the sequel trilogy, maybe kind of informing like, hey, like I ran into this problem before, or like this is a kind of just being like an annoying kind of like a Mimir character or someone who kind of just kind of like passively in the background, kind of
yeah.
just like maybe not heckling, but kind of just challenging like don't do that or do this or whatever. Like I agree. I would like to see Kylo Ren come back. I don't want him to be back in flesh and blood and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just that would just I mean, I know it's like space wizards and stuff, but even then that's just us the suspension of disbelief. That's just a little too far, I think.
Yeah. Final question, Andrew. Do any of these get canceled?
I don't think so. I think we're past that point because Kathleen Kennedy mentioned that at least for sure the Ray movie, that has already been in the works for at least I think over a year. Like
Yeah.
all that work has been already invested, and like I don't know if they believe in like the sunk cost fallacy over there when it comes to Star Wars, but I feel because these are people who are I mean, not that director, but I'm thinking of Filoni. I mean, he's entrenched in there. Like they're not gonna split ways with him, right? Like
Yeah.
he's central to the Star Wars franchise. Like he's not gonna be removed from a project. Like that's just not happening over there. Again, the Mangold, I'm not too familiar. I mean, I guess I am familiar. I've seen all the movies you mentioned. I've actually seen, and he does like awesome stuff. So I think in the past we've seen them kind of it was easier for them to cut direct or cut people who are attached to projects. There's like
Yeah.
the joke about how they're going to be removed like in a week or two or whatever, the creative differences. But when you do it at Star Wars Celebration and you're face publicly stating this is what's going to happen and you're saying it to the audience and like they react and stuff, like I think it's harder to backpedal from there than from like, oh, like so and so is attached to this project and then like gets dismissed, right? I think someone interviewed Kennedy about the Taika Waititi movie,
Yeah.
and she was saying like, oh yeah, like, we're still working on that, but like there's nothing concrete right now to mention. Like I think that's a little bit different because that was announced, I think, not in a big old public format kind of thing. That's kind of just like, oh, like word is that this is what's happening, right? So I think it's much harder to backpedal or to cancel something that you've informed the public rather than something that's like, oh, like that was never going to happen anyways. It was just kind of like we were trying to see what was going to happen and it just didn't work out. Creative differences. I think here, like I think you can't do that.
I agree with you. I think that they know the terrible reputation that they've gained recently based on the number of films that have been canceled. Star Wars films that have been canceled. I do not think that they would have gone up on that stage and talked about anything they were not sure beyond a shadow of a doubt was actually going to happen.
Exactly.
Like because it would be catastrophic for their reputation, I think, if any of these three fell through. Now, I think that Dave Filoni's movie is basically like 100% surefire. Nothing's going to possibly go wrong there.
Yeah.
The others are definitely more nebulous, but I mean, they brought Daisy Ridley out on stage. James Mangold is clearly very important to Disney now. I think all three are going to come out. I'm very confident about that. I think Taika Waititi's movie will not see the light of day.
Oh.
I just like that was talked about. I mean, that was talked about, I believe, back in 2020 because
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Same thing with Patty Jenkins and her like Rogue Squadron. We're like, again, they're just saying like, oh, it's just like it's on the back burner right now. We just shelved it, but like they won't outright say like it's canceled. I think
right.
it is pretty much canceled. Just same thing with the Ryan Johnson trilogy. Like that's not going to go anywhere.
No.
Even though yeah, it's just kind of like like they're trying to leave themselves a little leeway to kind of save face and be like hoping maybe through attrition that people just forget.
Yeah.
To like basically address it. So, but yeah, like these three are for sure thing. Like you said, you don't just walk out and declare like this is what we're doing unless you absolutely intend to follow through.
So it makes me very excited. I mean, I feel that I think we'll get the first in 2025. That's what I
That
say.
sounds safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not getting anything next year. At least not movie wise for sure.
Yeah.
2025. I think they even said, didn't they say that the Desi Ridley one was going to be 2025?
Oh, maybe they did. Might have
I
missed
think they
that.
did.
But I
Probably
mean,
towards the tail end, though, I think.
I would imagine since because they're gonna have Avatar 3 next year, they'll probably do Star Wars for that Christmas 2024 or 2025 slot. You, I mean, getting into a rhythm
Hmm.
of um Avatar Star Wars doesn't sound too bad, frankly.
I'm not a big Avatar fan, so that doesn't do anything for me. But yeah, I mean, from a business perspective, from the money making machine, I guess yeah, you don't want to you don't want to. I can't find the term. I'm so bad at
You don't
this,
want
but
to
you don't want to.
oversaturate things.
Yes, you don't want to oversaturate. You don't want to burn out. Burn out. I was looking for burnout. You don't want
Yeah.
to burn out your audience's goodwill with just a Star Wars film every single year, or you would definitely want to put some space in between and just kind of let that fatigue kind of build up, like not build up again, I guess go down in this case. But I agree. I agree. If you want to, because they're kind of doing that with, I think Mark, right? Mark, we're seeing that with Marvel now. They're stepping back with the abundance, the overabundance of projects, and kind of just like maybe we don't need all these projects all the time. We can kind of just like thin out the herd a little.
Yeah.
So, agree.
So Andrew, I think it's just very bright. Future's very bright. I'm very excited for all these projects. I can't wait to play Jedi Survivor in just a couple weeks. We've yeah, right after that, we're gonna have Visions. I'm excited to go back and catch up now on a lot more High Republic comics than I thought I had to. And on the whole, it all sounded really good.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best I think celebrations we've had since probably
Yeah.
the announcement of the sequel trilogy. There's a lot of stuff going on. I remember last year people were kind of like they didn't mention movies, like what's going on, right? And now we don't have another one. They're skipping next year, skipping Celebration until 2025. I imagine for sure they're going to have a trailer for whatever the next movie is going to be there, and it's going to be in Japan, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I'm itching to go back, so
that'd
that'd
be
be cool.
sick. You would suspect that well, if this Blu-ray movie is 2025, we get a sort of a teaser next year, and then at Celebration you get that big trailer,
Yeah.
like the big one, and then it releases that holiday. That seems to make pretty good sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that gets me so excited just thinking we'll be back. As much as I do believe that they could just continue with Disney Plus shows, getting back in that theater, sitting down, seeing the
Oh man.
crawl,
Yes.
you
Oh my
know,
god.
it's gonna happen.
There's nothing cooler than just like when you're in the theater, got your popcorn, got your drink or whatever, and like and seeing that opening crawl. Like I remember, like I think I told this before. Like I remember watching Revenge of the Sith and thinking that was gonna be the last time I was ever gonna see that, and like just like, oh, I'm so glad. Like I know you mentioned like the quality kind of varies and stuff, but like I'm just so excited that this stuff even exists, right? I always
Yeah,
talk about how I never take it for granted. Like even bad Star Wars is still Star Wars, and just like I can't wait to see episode 10 or
yeah,
not episode 10, but in theaters and get that opening crawl. I hope they do that. So very
they will.
excited.
They confirm that. Somebody asked Kathleen Kennedy, and she's like, "Yes, the movies will have crawls."
That's a funny question, but I'm glad we got that confirmed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I kind of figured that was self-evident, but we know now.
Well, with
So,
Rogue One, we didn't get one, right? And I don't
oh,
think
true.
did we
Solo,
get one for Solo?
I think
I don't
Solo
think
had
so.
one.
I don't think we got one for Solo.
To get me
That
excited, just re-release Solo, but light the movie properly. Do it in post.
you never let that go, will you?
I'll never let that go because Solo's so good, but it looks so fucking
Such
long.
a dark, not thematically, just dark visually.
It's it's visually dark because the characters are way darker than the background. Like it's just not properly done. But this is
Everyone's
like
everyone's like an unlockable silhouette character or something.
well, Andrew, we've done it. We'll be back. This is gonna post. We're recording on the 14th. It's probably gonna post tomorrow on Saturday the 15th. We'll be back in about a week to post our review of Mandalorian season 3, and then we'll probably be back. What? Not too long after that to either next review Jedi Survivor or Visions. Then whichever one doesn't happen first will happen second. So we're about to hit a period of a lot of my Star Wars show episodes. I think that's great.
I'm excited. I love doing this show. I love doing this.
Me too.
So I'm very excited about that.
And I'm also getting excited when I'm on spring. What is it? What season's coming up? Winter break? That's not true. Summer break. I'm
Summer
gonna
break,
play
winter break. Well, we just got out of winter. What's he doing? What is he doing?
here.
Is he getting Babu Freak? Oh yeah,
You want to do the KOTOR episode? We'll do some KOTOR and some KOTOR 2 action too.
yeah. We gotta do quarter one first, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Although I might buy this again on Switch because I don't think I really want to play it on my TV. I think I'd rather play that game
I was
portably.
about to ask you too. I'm like, should I just buy that? Should I just play that on PC, or is the Switch port for that one also good? Because I had that. Was that the one that had the issues, or is that the first one I'm thinking of?
No, the second one was broken. Like
Oh,
you
that's what
actually
it
couldn't
was.
finish the game.
That's right. They were even said from their Twitter account like don't like don't even try to finish or something, like just wait until
Which
we
is crazy because very good reviews came out for KOTOR 2 on Switch. All I'm saying is a lot of people had egg on their face.
Oh,
Whoopsie,
and
none of
then
those people finished the game.
I
Whoopsie.
was noticeably absent. Of course, there was like no mention of any Old Republic stuff at all. Even though like they had a little
Yeah.
little logo right in the timeline with all the logos and stuff. Like they acknowledged that like yeah, like we're working on something for each of these eras, and it's like I was like, what are you doing with Old Republic, right? But of course, with Aspire putting that on the back burner to like work on other stuff, because I'm just thinking like, man, we were robbed. They could have had something for this celebration if they had just not ran into whatever issues they ran into. So
Yeah, I guess the real question is what comes out first, James Mangold's movie or the fucking Aspire KOTOR remake?
probably the Mangle movie.
I don't think Aspire's ever putting out that remake, to be honest with you.
Don't say that, Abram. Don't do that. Don't do that.
But Andrew, another wonderful episode. We'll be back very shortly. Um,
May the force be with you.